Well, they have most of them back, and they have Antoine Winfield subject to the franchise tag. Mike Evans signed last week. And then it got a little dicey. And as of Friday, when they introduced the Mike Evans contract in Tampa Bay, Jason Light, the man you saw there 13 days ago with us at the Scouting Combine, he said basically at this point, Baker's going to see what's out there. And here's the reality. Baker had to know what was out there, what wasn't out there. He wouldn't have taken the deal yesterday. When he took the deal yesterday, he didn't just get up to the brink and not look over the edge. He's not standing at the starting line to free agency and deciding, screw it. I'll just take their best offer. He knows that something better isn't out there. He knows it. For whatever reason, it's not there. Either the Vikings aren't interested if Kirk Cousins leaves, or he's gotten the indication he's not leaving. Either way, he knows Minnesota isn't a viable option. And I was poking around last week about this, Chris, and I was told, look, here's the problem. He's got one other suitor. It's Minnesota if Cousins leaves. That's it. All these other teams that want quarterbacks want to go young. It's like young. The guy's That's 28, right. Not 38.
Yeah,
he's 28. But they want young. So it was Tampa Bay or Minnesota, and we don't know whether Minnesota was interested. We don't know where that stands. But at the end of the day, he had no reason to further delay. He took the deal. And this is one of these eye of the beholder deals. It's 3 years, $100 million. That averages 33.3 per year. But it's kind of 2 years, 60, so it's 30 per year. The number that came up in conversations I had last week was 31. So this is kind of on either end of 31. Could be 30, could be 33. He's got $5 million per year in incentives. We haven't seen the triggers yet. That could make it more interesting and more valuable for Baker Mayfield. I had kind of heard he's looking for 40, and it's not an unreasonable number in today's market and what he did last year. But if you don't have multiple teams at the table pushing that number higher and higher, you don't get there. No. You need somebody else. And at the end of the day, if there was somebody else, they weren't offering substantially more, if any more at all, than what the Buccaneers ultimately offered and what Baker Mayfield ultimately accepted.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we talk about perception a lot of the time. Right, and I mean he had the years before this, not to his own fault, but he was in some tough situations there where it certainly helps maybe or hurt his ability to demand maybe north of $40 million. Either way, it's a really good deal, right? And the type of thing too where you kind of mentioned it. Hey, the suitors out there right now. Hey, we're this is a good quarterback draft class. So, yeah, people would rather young, blank canvas. Let me work that guy up instead of a guy that's, been tinkered with at a few places and has some ways about his game where he's set and this is what he wants to do. So that's where teams like the young aspect a little bit here. But, yeah, when it comes down to it, I think the other aspect is like you talked about. Is somebody else out there going to blow him away with a contract? Because to me, being an ex-quarterback, being around the sport, you got to give me something significantly more for me to leave. Wait, the team I just was with that likes me, I've set the groundwork to be the leader of the football team, right? I got a connection with some of the guys on the offensive side of the ball, a.k.a. Mike Evans and all of that, right? And I have a fan base that's behind me, and like we're in cahoots here together as it's going to the playoffs last year. You don't just throw that away for, Minnesota's offering me $1 million more or $2 million more. So agreed with you that he knew, what the interest was out there as far as what he was going to get, let alone I think he's looking at it going, hey, the place I'm in is pretty damn good. They like me here. They want me to be the guy. I want to be the guy here. And I think this is why all the things we talked about leading up to this process of why they franchised Antoine Winfield Jr. They knew that because of the things I think we're both talking about, that they had the inside track, logically, realistically, whatever way you want to say it, with Baker Mayfield and coming back to Tampa Bay.
We was having the conversation at dinner at the Scouting Combine, the hypothetical conversation of what does the contract start with. And I said it has to start with a 3. It has to start with a 3. And it feels right. Again, we'll see what the triggers are for the incentive package. $5 million a year can make it a huge difference, $35 to $38 million per year. But this is a good, fair deal. It's short term. gets him back to the market, if he is having, and that's what's so weird about these teams that want to go young at quarterback. Quarterbacks are playing into their late 30s and into their 40s. Baker Mayfield in 3 years is going to be 31.
Yeah.
He's still going to have a lot of great football left in him.
Right.
And he's going to be back at the open market. Jason Light, very, very happy there with that gift from Napoleon Dynamite. His brother Kip celebrating whatever it was. I can't remember what it was, but he was very happy in that moment.
Wasn't that a bowling moment? Or no,
yes.
am I right? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
I don't know.
It's been a while.
But yes, Jason Light, who had a habit of jumping in a pool fully clothed when the Buccaneers won football games back in 2020 with Tom Brady, now happy they're keeping Baker Mayfield. A nice transition for them. A nice soft landing post-Tommy. They didn't fall apart. They're still relevant. They're still competitive. They're not in shambles like Tom's other former team. So good for the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Good for them to keep Baker Mayfield. I like his attitude. I like what he embodies. I like what he brings to the table. It's funny because I tweeted last night that the deal was done and somebody responded, and I got to just quit reading those damn things because there's so much stupidity and morality out there. But, oh, you always talk bad about him. It's like, are you serious? I talk bad about him. I got everything but a Baker Mayfield tattoo on my ass, for crying out loud. I love the kid. It just drives me crazy when people are that dumb.
I mean, somebody makes a comment because they saw you say something 4 years ago, and they just go, "Well, that's the truth." And it's like, "What? Are you kidding me? That's your information. You know, that's your base for that comment. Like, I mean, come on." You're not
4 years ago when he was displaying, from time to time some antisocial behaviors, and he needed to be called out.
Yeah,
and he deserved to be called out.
Yeah, I hear you.
But that doesn't mean he's permanently that guy.
No,
that's one of the reasons I love him now. He's matured. He's developed. He's becoming the guy he was going to be in Cleveland. You know, we build him up, we tear him down, and then we root for them to have a great third act. I think that's one of the reasons why we're excited about Russell Wilson. And I'm not saying that any of it's like we deliberately tear him down, but that's just kind of that weird little human nature metronome that's inside of most people. It's just kind of like, oh, wow, look at that guy. Yeah, he's great. He's great. Hey, you know what? I'm kind of sick of him. Oh, he's you know, just let Russ cook, you know, he doesn't, you know, he's kind of getting a little too big. Kind of thinks he's a little better than maybe he is. Oh, look at that. He's got his comeuppance. And now, oh, hey, look at this. Fresh start for Russ. I mean, again, I'm not saying I feel that way. I'm just saying I love to be a student of human nature, and I think that that's kind of how we ride sometimes. That's kind of how we go. We love that first wave, and we love to see them take it all the way to the top, and then they get to the top, and we're like, yeah, I kind of had enough of this guy. And then they go down, and we're like, yeah, he got what he deserved. And then we're like, man, I want to see him rise again. It's just human nature.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm saying all that because Baker Mayfield is rising again. And it's good for him, and it's good for the Buccaneers. And I like how he's matured. I like how he's grown. And, yeah, he and Russell Wilson were my co-plan B for Plan A in Minnesota. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.